Okay, so today I'm going to talk about high function Asperger's. Since the 1990s, medical and mental health professionals have recognised milder forms of autism. Now, we all sort of have an idea of what autism is, and it's pretty sort of, it's pretty, it can affect children and grown-ups in quite a severe manner. So previously, only the most severe cases of autism were diagnosed and treated. But then Asperger Syndrome came out. And you've probably heard of Asperger Syndrome. And Asperger Syndrome can sometimes be related, I believe, to... sometimes it's positively related to people like Einstein. I think Richard Branson. I think lots of very creative people have Asperger Syndrome. So that name was brought out to deal with especially the high function Aspergers. That sort of name, high function Aspergers, was brought out to explain people who suffer from a milder form of autism, and it actually can benefit them in certain ways. They can have above average IQ, exceptional cognitive abilities, various different things. They can also really struggle, but there have been very positive things that have come out of high function Asperger syndrome. But in 2013, if you were diagnosed before 2013, you would have been told that you had high function Asperger's. If you're diagnosed after 2013, they've decided to complicate it or change it, and now they're calling it high function autism. And they say that you're on the Autistic Spectrum disorder, ASD. It's all very complicated, but I think over this side you've got autism, and I have a friend next door, Luke, who might introduce you to at some point. He has autism and he really struggles. He can't communicate. His life is happy, but it's very hard for him to do things. He has a lot of help. He's a lovely lad. He's about 16 or 17, I think. So I was, as I said, I was told I had high function Asperger's, but after 2013, that would now be called high function autism. So they've tried to basically bring it all into an autistic setting, which is really, really complicated, but that's what they've decided to do. And you'll hear sometimes people call themselves Aspies, and that's basically Asperger's people, high function Asperger's. They've given themselves a nickname, which now technically won't make much sense after 2013 if you get diagnosed, because you'll have to be, I don't know, Austies or something like that. They'll make another name up, no doubt. So that's a brief description. So if you actually try to Google high function Asperger's, I found it really hard to find anything out on it. And that's because they're calling it high function autism now. So autistic people may act in a different way to other people. And this is the NHS website again. I like to have a sort of ground zero place to go in for reliable facts and grounded information. Autistic people may find it hard to communicate and interact with other people, find it hard to understand how other people think or feel, find things like bright lights or loud noises overwhelming, stressful or uncomfortable, get anxious or upset about unfamiliar situations and social events, take longer to understand information, do or think the same things over and over. So again, we are talking about autistic people, not high function autism. This is autism, which previously the high function autism would have been Asperger's. Now, let's have a little look. Autism is not an illness. Being autistic does not mean you have an illness or disease. It means your brain works in a different way from other people's. It's something you're born with and first appears when you're very young. If you're autistic your whole life. Autism is not a medical condition with a treatment or a cure, but some people need support to help them with certain things. Autistic people can live a full life. Being autistic does not have to stop you having a good life. Like everyone, autistic people have things they're good at as well as things they struggle with. Being autistic does not mean you can never make friends, have relationships or get a job, but you might need extra help with these things. Autism is different for everyone. And again, we're talking about autism here, and this isn't something that I necessarily have struggled with. I've struggled with High Function Aspergers, which is now called High Function Autism. I'm just going over this because there's lots of people I know, well, a few people, and I don't know, there was quite a few people who have children who have autism, and I've got to know many people through being a volunteer at a certain charity. I help it sometimes. Some people use other names for autism. Asperger Syndrome Disorder, ASD, the medical name for autism. Autism Spectrum Condition, ASC, used instead of ASD by some people. Asperger's or Asperger Syndrome, used by some people to describe autistic people with average or above average intelligence. It's not clear what causes autism. Nobody knows what causes autism, or if it has a cause. It can affect people in the same family, so it may sometimes be passed on to a child by their parents. Autism is not caused by bad parenting. Vaccines such as MMR vaccine, diet, and infection you can spread to other people. Autistic people can have any level of intelligence. Some autistic people have average or above average intelligence. Some autistic people have learning difficulties. This means they may find it hard to look after themselves and need help with their daily life. Autistic people may have other conditions. Anxiety, this is the interesting bit, isn't it? Because I've talked about this in the other videos because I'm diagnosed with other things and borderline with other things as well. And here we have autistic people often have other conditions like attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which I've talked about and related to quite strongly in the last video, and dyslexia. Again, another one that I struggled with, those two. And anxiety or depression. Well, anxiety is OCD is an anxiety disorder, and I think basically if you read a little bit further through this you'll come across the bits where they say OCD. Again, I'm on the NHS website, and it's quite interesting what they've got to say. To talk about high functioning autism, which is what I diagnosed with, or Asperger Syndrome, because I was diagnosed before 2013. One of the things that I struggle with is feeling it, and it's listed on one of these, listed here actually, feeling extremely anxious and or exhausted by social gatherings. And this has been something I've struggled with generally throughout my life. I used to really be confused why I found them so draining and exhausting. And everyone else always seemed to enjoy them, and I would, I think when I was a teenager, I'd go out with my sisters, and we'd go out to the youth group and with friends. As we got older, we went out bowling and various different things, and we'd come home and they said, that was brilliant fun, that was really great, and I just go, oh, it's just exhausting. And that they would just be, they'd be really lovely. They would say, well, you really enjoyed yourself, and you appeared to have a great time, and everyone was laughing and chatting to you, and you seemed to be really, really very happy. And I never really felt that. I felt that I was acting. I felt that, I was probably 20 then, I felt that I knew how to act and I knew how to interact. And high function Asperger's people struggle with social situations and eye contact and other social interactions. But through moving schools all the time, every 1 or 2 years, and having to blend in or, well, make friends or be accepted, and I wasn't very good at the start. Quite the contrary, I was terrible. I really was rejected and bullied. But I learned very quickly how to not manipulate people, because manipulate people sounds quite evil, and I wouldn't really say that's something that I do. But I do know, it's not that I know, I've learnt the hard way how to get on with people and how to act by watching other people and learning those behaviours. It's like acting, really, and it's not fun, and it's exhausting and draining, and I find it really hard in a social situation to really relax and enjoy myself. Just going back to this list here, anxiety, OCD, bipolar disorder and depression are very common in high function autism individuals. So again, it does, that clarifies what I've been saying all along, is that, I've struggled with those four things: OCD, ADHD, diagnosed with high function Aspergers, and OCD. I think I've got that correct. So they do all blend into one, and they do intermingle. So, if you may relate to what I'm saying. I think one of the hardest things with Asperger's or high function autism is I dread. You get your day. You have to do your rituals and your certain things, and I can be spontaneous, but it's hard to explain, and maybe I'll talk about it in other videos. But I've always dreaded social situations, and I'm actually would appear to be good at dealing with them, as I may appear to be good at talking comfortably on this. That's just because I know I have to keep looking up every now and then to appear normal, and I have to make eye contact with that stupid green light at the top of the screen, and I have to pretend this computer is some friend or something that cares and accepts me for who I am. I'm not focusing on the fact that there's people watching, other than people that love and care for me, and I love and care for them. Well, I'm going to leave it there because, again, I don't want to overdo the time I've spent. That says I've already done 4 minutes. That seems really quick. Well, oh no, of course I stopped it, didn't I? Started it because I messed up. Well, I didn't mess up. I had to read because I couldn't remember. So anyway, I hope that's of some help. I'm trying not to squeak the chair so much. Gordon the three-legged cat's still here. Just woken him up, little sweetheart. Hello, baby. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how animals and caring for creatures really does help people with mental health disorders and syndromes and issues and struggles. That's going to be quite an interesting one, because I believe that's one of the best things to help anybody who struggles with some of these aforementioned things. So thank you for listening. Excuse the messes I make in the middle, but I do want to keep these raw and blunt, and I don't want to edit them, so I want to keep them, genuine. So thank you.